and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by a man who puts in even more effort than Mr. Wayne Rooney. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. I wish that were the case, but if it were, I feel like I might die.
I've seen you run in the 95th minute.
That's true,
Yeah.
but just the way he, after the play that you're referencing, the effort he put in, just to see his lack of celebration, and instead I think he went hands on knees, I'm pretty sure 2% more effort might have meant one great big heart attack for Wayne Rooney.
So we are here to do our Premier League roundup, thumbs up, thumbs down. But Wayne Rooney's play to win the game for DC United 3-2 in the final minute, I think is worth opening the show with.
The greatest 8 seconds in MLS history, according to some site.
To Slate.
Yes.
Slate, yeah. Who was it? I think it was Jared Dubois.
It was.
Kind of mad about that.
He
like,
was.
What qualifies them? Which I think is a very good question.
It's a very good question.
So for those who haven't seen it, shall we talk about it?
Let's do it.
It's 2-2.
It is.
It's Audi Field, I believe, right? It's a corner kick to DC United. Ousted, the goalkeeper, is up there at 2-2.
For reasons?
For reasons. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
I think the reasons are just DC United need some wins. Orlando were down to 10 men, right? I think Higuita had been sent off. So why not? I kind of like it.
I mean, the answer is because if Will Johnson has a left foot, they lose 3-2.
Right. But so this is what's my theory with Major League Soccer is in some ways regular season games you should be able to take more gambles because you can't get relegated.
Well, there's
so
that.
Why not at 2-2 send your goalkeeper forward and try and get the 3 points?
And hope that Will Johnson doesn't have a left foot. I mean, yeah, you're right.
Look how
and
this played out. This played out with a 3-2 win, right?
It sure did.
Yeah.
It sure did. So it all worked out. And he was integral.
He kind of was.
No, he wasn't.
No, he was up there for the initial header. I don't think he actually got to it, but he was up there challenging. Yeah, then there's a break, right? Will Johnson on the break.
And he is, I think, the only person sprinting back on defense when...
Wayne Rooney.
Ousted is the only one sprinting back to make any sort of defensive pressure on the rapidly advancing Orlando players.
Well,
Luckily, Wayne Rooney's there.
He knows it's about to look bad for him, right? Yeah, luckily Wayne Rooney is there. Slide tackle on Johnson, then pops up, strides forward, hits that long, floating diagonal for Acosta to head home at the far post. 3-2 DC United.
Yep. Some controversy, though, about this one.
Yes. I was wondering if you were going to pick that up.
I was.
So I first saw this noticed by Ian Paul Joy of Bein Sports. He notes that on the initial breakaway, I think Johnson is breaking away, and Acosta trips another, I don't know who the player is actually, another Orlando attacker who would have been going up the right-hand side, right? Acosta just reaches his leg out, trips him over, stops him joining the attack. You could even argue that if that player, who I'm sorry, I don't know who it is, if he'd been up there, Will Johnson might have had a square ball on, so he wouldn't have slowed down enough for Wayne Rooney to slide and tackle.
Yeah, and I think it is worth noting that it was definitely... At best, it was I'm frustrated by the situation, so clip for you. And at worst, it was, you guys are on a break. I don't want you to be too far away, so I'm going to kick you.
It was crafty and clever from Acosta, but 100% illegal.
Yes. But I think I'm going to say correctly, made the argument that if the ref had seen it, it probably would have been given as advantage anyway. Maybe it would have been a card for Acosta, a yellow or something like that. But I don't know if that would have been enough for VAR.
Imagine if you're an Orlando fan and the goalkeeper's out and your team's on the break. If the ref had blown his whistle and stopped the play for a free kick just outside your own area,
you would not be thrilled.
You would not be happy at all, right? But the other thing is he does not see the play because, quite cleverly, Acosta does this behind the referee's back.
Yep. So I don't know if I agree with Ian Paul Joy, but I will say we met Ian in Atlanta. He's a handsome fellow. Oh, maybe you weren't there.
I didn't meet him.
Well, maybe you can't attest to his handsomeness in person.
I saw him across the room, and he is handsome.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay.
In a Scottish way.
I'm glad we've agreed. That's the most important part.
Should we move on to the Premier League, where Wayne Rooney used to play?
Let's do it. I have a theme for the weekend,
and
it's going to be Taylor apologizing for stuff.
Really? Oh, I am all in for today's show then.
It's an apology theme.
It's an apology tour.
Yeah.
If you're new to the Total Soccer Show, the way that we review the Premier League is we go thumbs up, thumbs down. And that's our method for going around the league and picking things out. So, Taylor, where are your thumbs going and who are they going towards?
I think my thumbs are going to go towards Newcastle. Newcastle 1, Tottenham 2.
Okay.
Should we start there?
Let's especially start there. I would like to say thumbs down to our Tottenham Hotspur preview.
I agree for the most part.
Popular reaction.
This is where the apology tour begins.
Okay, popular reaction on the internet was that 19 of our Premier League preview segments were good. Our Tottenham one was not
Excellent.
so
Oh,
good.
sorry. Wrong one.
Not so
Yeah.
good. I want to own it a little bit. I would say not to make excuses, but we were thrown off by the lack of transfer activity.
Yep.
I think especially that final show, because we did it on transfer deadline day, it was very transfer focused, right? So we've suddenly found ourselves with not a lot to say about Tottenham.
Well, for me, it was more so that the lack of transfers was kind of the talking point in terms of how do you preview this team when there isn't the new addition. You're not looking at how are they going to bet in, what does this mean in terms of changes in tactics. It's more so this is a team that didn't win the title, that didn't make signings.
Yep.
So then why would they stick with this? And I think that then lent itself to focusing on like Harry Kane and Dele Alli, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and but I think what we failed to do was get into Spurs' playing style and all that kind of stuff. So luckily, they were the early game. Newcastle v Spurs, 7:30 a.m. I didn't watch it live. I did DVR it and watch it later. So we get to talk about Spurs' style. I'm hoping we can make it up to Tottenham fans by talking a little Tottenham tactics.
Well, okay, I want to say this. I don't want to like make it up to Tottenham fans because honestly, I don't want to be in a position where we're ever like we get a bunch of complaints because people didn't like the way we covered a team.
Here's the other thing, though. Tottenham fans were like 80% polite about this.
That's very true.
Which I think makes us more likely to make up for any mistakes when people are polite in their complaints.
Well, maybe, but I still maintain that like I don't want to be in a position where we're changing the way we talk about a thing because people get upset or people don't like what we have to say.
Yeah, fair enough.
Talking about teams we're going to be critical at times. What I will say is that I think we usually hold ourselves to a higher standard in the way we talk about teams, and I don't think we met that standard with the Tottenham preview. So that's why I would issue that apology.
All right,
that said, like I still have concerns about Tottenham. I would say that they're maybe not in the area that I thought they should be. Maybe it's a little bit more defensive concerns. That said, my first ones would be thumbs way up in the air for Davinson Sanchez because that is where he tends to spend most of his time, way up in the air.
Lovely. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Sure. He had the flick-on assist for Tottenham's opening goal of the season. He had another one off of a corner that he hit just wide, but then he did a lot of cleanup work using that head. Most specifically, Salomon Rondon hits the post. Davinson Sanchez is there to head it clear. He just did a lot of that sort of marshalling when there was a loose ball, when there was a loose opportunity. And worth noting, he did some great 1v1 defending. He had an awesome one-on-one challenge on Husselu, I think it was, to keep Newcastle from equalizing.
Maybe Davinson Sanchez learned some corner kick attacking moves from Yerry Mina over the summer.
It's
at
possible.
The World Cup. I've got a thumbs up for Spurs set pieces. So that corner kick, I rewatched it. It's actually a really nicely put together corner kick. It's Christian Eriksen taking it. He's landing it very specifically like penalty spot-ish. But you notice there is Davinson Sanchez makes a run towards it and Eric Dyer makes a run towards it. It's definitely designed for Christian Eriksen to put it in a spot and for two of the big centre-backs. I know Eric Dyer played defensive midfield, but he's essentially a centre-back, right? In his profile, in his heighting, his aerial ability to get there first and flick it towards the other centre-back at the far post, Jan Vertonghen, who is the one who just, by a factor of 8 millimetres, puts it over the line. So good set-piece work from Tottenham. This goes a little deeper for me. It also goes to the first minute. Did you see the free kick routine that Christian Eriksen and Ben Davies had in the first minute of this game?
Yes, but I don't remember it.
Okay, so there's a foul down in the sort of towards the corner. So it's a free kick from the end line. And Ben Davies, left-footed, shapes up as if he's going to cross. But instead he runs over the ball into the area. Then Christian Eriksen, right-footed, comes and just lays it into the path of Ben Davies. So it's obvious that Tottenham have been working on some clever little set pieces over the summer. So maybe that's the answer is rather than Pochettino chasing transfers, they've been working on set pieces.
Yeah. Well, they've been working on set pieces, but it might also just be the case that whenever you have Christian Eriksen, he gets to do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Because that's one that maybe you did. I don't remember talking very much about at the preview. That's the type of player that we probably should have focused on because if Harry Kane were to get injured, as we talked about, Christian Eriksen is that player who could step in, fill the void. Obviously can shoot from distance, but can play such pinpoint deadly crosses that it sort of is like get a body in there and it's probably going to be in the back of the net.
Well, here's the thing. I remember this preview. I talked about Christian Eriksen's far post crosses. The way he puts those balls, like bends them in and then back, and then it's either Dele Alli or Harry Kane or Son Heung-min sometimes at the back post, finishing them off. So Christian Eriksen with the corner kick, but for Tottenham's second goal,
there it is.
It's Serge Aurier.
I was wondering if you were setting yourself up for this. Yeah.
Serge Aurier doing a very good Christian Eriksen impression, right? A first-time cross to the back post for Dele Alli.
Well, was it Serge Aurier?
Yeah.
I completely thought it was just...
Absolutely.
Okay, my mistake.
Here's what happens. Serge Aurier nutmegs, I don't know who it is, he nutmegs a Newcastle defender. It might be Kennedy. He had yellow cleats, so I think it was Kennedy.
It's probably Yedlin.
So Aurier, we'll get to Yedlin. Aurier puts it between the legs of, I believe, Kennedy, gets it to Christian Eriksen. Eriksen tries a through ball, it's blocked. It bounces back to Serge Aurier, and then first time, right-footed, he hits this like weird, it's almost Wayne Rooney-esque cross to the back post. But instead of Acosta being there, it's Dele Alli who has snuck in behind DeAndre Yedlin.
So Serge Aurier, as Daryl has been saying for, I think, over a year, is the new Christian Eriksen. So that's firmly established. With that in mind, maybe I want to say thumbs down, I think slightly down, to DeAndre Yedlin.
I've got thumbs down to Dele Alli for making DeAndre Yedlin look bad.
All right.
I think we're driving at the same thing, aren't we?
So let's start with that goal.
More than once.
Yes.
The goal is the most, it's actually not the most memorable. The goal is the most score-sheety thing that happened to DeAndre Yedlin.
Yes. And it's also the one that I would say is the most, is the one that gives me the most uncertainty. Because it is Yedlin who ends up closest to Dele Alli when Dele Alli scores.
But not
even
close
then,
enough.
he's not that close. But it comes about because Matt Ritchie, when Dele Alli starts that run, he's right at midfield. Matt Ritchie is with him, really is right with him, maybe a yard or two of separation.
And for those who are unaware, if you haven't seen this game, Matt Ritchie is essentially the right midfielder, the right winger for Newcastle. DeAndre Yedlin is the right back. Dele Alli was essentially playing like a left centre mid type role. So he's somewhat a shared responsibility between those two. Fair?
Yeah. And I think Ritchie doesn't see Dele Alli start the run or really start to increase the acceleration when he notices
he goes from
it.
Third to fifth gear and takes Ritchie by surprise.
And when Ritchie notices it, he yells at DeAndre Yedlin. He's trying to let him know. I think Yedlin sort of responds, but his positioning isn't great to be able to then adapt to where Dele Alli is. But I still have a hard time putting that squarely on the shoulders of DeAndre Yedlin because basically it's Ritchie not tracking as aggressively as he should have, not really causing much stress to Dele Alli, and kind of putting it on DeAndre Yedlin to figure out.
I have a take here. So I think you agree with me on this, that it's not always an individual player's fault. And you can't always point a finger and say, it's all this man's fault, put it all on this man. I think it's a Newcastle shape fault. And what I see from Newcastle a lot is the fullbacks, including Yedlin, tucked in really tight alongside their centre-back. So they end up not being able to cover much of the wing because they're busy helping the centre-backs inside, right? And then you get Ritchie out wide. If Ritchie gets beat by a run or anything like that, suddenly there's a lot of ground Yedlin has to make up to try and cover a run exactly like the one Dele Alli made. So in many ways, it's thumbs up to Dele Alli for recognising that weird space that Yedlin tucking in has caused and taking advantage of it. More than once, I would say, because there's a couple more moments this exact same thing's happened. And just to underline it, it's not Yedlin's fault that he's tucked in. I'm certain it's a Rafa Benitez instruction. He likes his four defenders to stay really close together, almost close enough to hold hands.
But it happens again later on in the game where he's basically tucked inside. He ends up marking Harry Kane. It kind of falls to him to mark Harry Kane. But then that allows Ben Davies, to be wide open, outside the box, but in the left channel. DeAndre Yedlin goes to close him down. And this is the kind of strangely way more negative mark I have against him is he does
for America flashback.
He does that thing that we hate, where he sort of gets out there. I understand that he has to mark basically two players at once. I'm not faulting him for not being tight on Ben Davies, but if you're going to go put that pressure on the defender, he does the arms behind the back. Okay, that's fine. But then he does his weird look away to his left and put his right leg out.
Strike a pose.
And it's just a weird because even then, if you have your arms behind your back as he does, your elbows still go out. That's what that's what your mechanics are going to do. So if you're looking away,
you can still handball
it. So it's a really weird approach to take, and it's a thing we've seen him do for the US. It's a thing we've seen him do for Newcastle. And it still seems to be a flaw in his game.
So no chicken wings. No chicken wings.
And then obviously the worst one was the Dele Alli dummy nutmeg.
So this one was all over the internet, right? And this is in a really bad 5-6 minute spell where Ali keeps beating DeAndre Yedlin in various ways. There's one just after this where he beats him to the far post and knees it over him again. But there is Ali receiving a ball, pretending to receive a ball. Instead, he runs away and goes around Yedlin and lets it run through DeAndre Yedlin's legs. Nutmeg without touching the ball.
Yeah. And
it's worth 1 million points on FIFA Street.
And it's not. It's simultaneously not as bad to get meg that way because you're squared up trying to defend. You don't see that really coming, but it's also worse because it's not as though Dele Alli, used a bit of trickery and really threw him. It's just that DeAndre Yedlin, I think, at that point was so rattled that this was allowed to transpire.
I think Dele Alli is probably horrible to play against. We've seen him talking at people. We've seen him doing the little off-the-ball things. He really gets in an opponent's head, and I think that's pretty much what he'd done to DeAndre Yedlin at this point. Yeah.
So I would say still some momentarily worrying signs, some backline indecision, some backline lack of communication for Spurs. You imagine that will get sorted out. So as long
Spurs?
They definitely had moments where like Vertonghen would step and nobody else would, or Vertonghen would stay back and everybody else stepped. Davinson Sanchez at one point stepped. Sometimes the fullbacks were staying, the center backs were going. So but that might just be early season jitters. That might get ironed out as they get more reps.
One thing I thought was really important in this game was Eric Dyer stopping counterattacks. I saw this again and again and again. Eric Dyer would just put in what I would call a solid tackle where he just steps into someone and wins the ball. I even think the corner kick that Tottenham score on first goal, that corner kick is won after Eric Dyer stops a Newcastle counter-attack, gets it to Eriksen. Eriksen's shot is saved. He consistently did that classic defensive midfield job of this ends here, this ends with Eric Dyer, we're sending it back the other way, Tottenham's coming at you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well done to Tottenham.
Final thing, DeAndre Yedlin. Injured towards the end of this game. He landed awkwardly on his knee and overextended it is what I saw. I couldn't watch it more than once because it was tough viewing. I checked the news before we started recording. No update on how bad that injury is.
Yeah. Which probably speaks to sprain and a couple weeks out more so than anything too serious. But we'll see.
You know who we haven't talked about? Fernando Llorente.
This is true.
So we somewhat famously forgot Fernando Llorente, famously within our office, forgot about Fernando Llorente when we were talking about potential Harry Kane replacements if Harry Kane ever goes down. Towards the end of this game, Fernando Llorente was asked to warm up and get ready to sub in, I think to give Harry Kane a break. But then Pochettino changed his mind and brought on a midfielder instead. So poor Fernando Llorente did his warm up, had his training top off, was ready to go, then was asked to please take a seat. Didn't get himself in the game.
That's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes.
So I think our preview may have infected Pochettino in that he's downgraded Llorente.
I'm sure that's it. I'm sure that's what happened. Anything else from this one?
Not from me, no. Lots going on in the game. Hopefully Yedlin's okay and keeps his starting spot.
Yes, that would be ideal. That would be ideal.
Where would you like to go next? You've got your pick of the Premier League to talk about. Tony.
I would like to go to one of our sponsors for the day.
Ooh, shall we talk about SeatGeek? SeatGeek is the place to get tickets to live events, be it soccer, other sports that are not as good, comedy, concerts, any live events. You can use the SeatGeek app, couple taps on your phone. You can buy tickets to live sporting events.
But my favorite feature would be that you can then see just how good the available tickets are. They've got the color-coded system to tell you if it's a good deal or not a good deal, if you should spend that money or spend that money elsewhere.
Usually what we do is Taylor researches and finds an event that we might go to, we being me and Taylor, or maybe Taylor and his wife.
I don't think you and I go to too many events.
Hey,
but yeah.
We've been. I found some good upcoming events.
What you got?
All right, September 7th at the MetLife Stadium, which I believe is in New Jersey.
Oh, so not around here.
USA versus Brazil.
Gotcha.
Within travelling distance, just within travelling distance for the Total Talk Show. The US men's national team friendly against Brazil at MetLife. On SeatGeek, you can get a ticket for $71, which I think is at or below what US Soccer is asking for.
Okay.
But then with the $20 discount, we'll give you the discount. If you don't know the discount code already, then welcome to the show for the first time. You can get $20 off that. If Brazil doesn't take your fancy, September 11th at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, where there is no oil, it's USA versus Mexico. How about that? Those are $51.
All right, so then $20 off?
The Neymar premium is not on the
no.
on the Mexico game.
That's strange. That's strange that the Mexico game would be cheaper.
Yeah, well, not really. I think there's a lot of star power with Brazil that brings people in.
You think there will be. Who knows if they actually show up?
Roster, right? Well, if you're looking for something a little different, September 16th, the U.S. National Arena Soccer Team plays against Mexico. Craig Charles and co. Craig Charles, the king of carpet soccer from that Howler magazine story. You can get that for $40.
I like that they've gone arena as opposed to indoor.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
Because I think indoor sounds like...
arena's a bad brand right now.
Well, there's that. But I think it's because indoor sounds like what we play in here in Richmond and like the facility that we have. Arena is like a giant facility.
I see.
Yeah.
So it stops it sounding like R7 aside league.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
That's
that
my
makes
guess.
sense to me.
That's my guess.
All right, so for $20 off any tickets, be they indoor soccer, outdoor soccer, or any other event you might like to go through via SeatGeek, you download the SeatGeek app. That part is 100% free. You should do that no matter what. You enter the promo code TSS. That's promo code TSS today for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Taylor, do you know the new SeatGeek tagline?
I do not, so why don't you read it to me?
Good dodge. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets.
There we are. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's show. You asked me where I wanted to go next. I want to continue the apology tour. I'm going to apologize to Crystal Palace a little bit. They won 2-0 away to Fulham, but I will say I was doubtful that Christian Benteke could be brought back in and it would work.
He won a bunch of headers, didn't he?
Yeah, but it was most, I'm going to say, thumbs up to Wilfried Zaha for continuing to be good.
Yeah.
So he started up top with Benteke in a 4-4-2.
Am I wrong, or is this a really good combo?
It's an okay combo.
Benteke heads down, Zaha dribbles on.
One game does not a season make. I'm going to say it looks like it could work.
Yep.
That said, I mean, the goals did not come from the Benteke knockdown. Maybe they should have, but Zaha wasn't able to get, I think, like his shooting boots in the right spot.
There was one where he missed, and it was definitely Benteke had set him up nicely.
Yeah, but the more promising ones, I think, were the way Zaha was able to find combinations with Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Patrick Van Aanholt. There was so much...
Are those his fullbacks?
So much movement from those three in a way that I was really surprised to see two fullbacks and then a center forward really combining, but it caused so many problems for Fulham because people just had to be pulled all over the place. People drifted all over the place.
Yeah.
It created lots of vulnerabilities, and then obviously for Wilfried Zaha, his finish for the second goal was especially impressive.
That was the killer, right? Because Fulham was sort of suggesting that maybe we might equalise, and then Zaha was like, nope, I'm going to settle this right now.
And I think my favorite thing about it is it's misleading in that because it's this breakaway from Crystal Palace, again, it's Wan-Bissaka who I think rides the challenge, keeps on his feet, is able to play in Zaha. And then it's a nice ball, but it is, the move itself is like a 70-yard sequence from beginning to end. But it's only 2 touches for Wilf Zaha. It's left foot takes him across.
Are you calling him Wilf Zaha as well?
I am indeed.
You copying that commentator?
Yeah, why not? Everybody calls him, apparently.
Is that what he wants to be known as?
I think so.
All right.
At least, and then the post-match interview was, Wilf, what did you think? So takes it left touch away from the goalkeeper, right touch just slots it underneath. It's a really calm and composed goal, and worth remembering that is way harder than it looks, and we'll talk more about some people who maybe should have finished like that later on.
I don't know who you mean, but I look forward to finding out.
It rhymes with Raul Jimenez.
Excuse me. A word on Fulham. So I watched a bit of Fulham last year. I watched them again to preview our Premier League preview. They did exactly what they planned to do in this game. Lots of passing, lots of moving the ball around. And I got the feeling that this is a thing that 100% would have ripped championship defences to pieces last year.
Yep.
But you come up against the Roy Hodgson 4-4-2, where everyone's pretty narrow and very disciplined about when to break and when to stay. And you really saw the limits of it, right? And when you saw a right back, forgive me, remind me of his name again.
Wan-Bissaka.
Bissaka, a right back who could keep up with Ryan Sessegnon. Sessegnon was somewhat nullified, right? And Fulham just could not make their way through that Crystal Palace
I don't think you need somewhat in there. I think you can just go ahead and say Wan-Bissaka marked him out of the game.
Yep. I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So, it was just really interesting to see. I'm guessing we're going to talk about Wolves in a bit, but Wolves did their thing from the Championship last year, and it wasn't 100% successful, but at least there were a couple of goals out of it. Fulham did their thing with upgrades, right? With Jean-Michel Sarri in there, with
100 million plus of upgrades,
in there. Yeah, and it still wasn't quite enough to get results in the Premier League. So that's slightly worrying if I'm a Fulham fan.
I mean, somewhat. I am not. I'm nominally a Fulham fan because of Fulham America.
Yeah.
I would just say with all of this, it's great.
No Team Ream, worth noting.
True.
Yeah.
With all of this, it's grain of salt because it's 1 week. For a lot of these teams, if you're Fulham, if you are Chelsea, even though Chelsea looked good, if you're Arsenal, it's you're betting in players, you're figuring stuff out. Same for West Ham, even though they got shredded. It's 1 week. Again, does not a season make. Sarri himself, even after the game for Chelsea, said it's going to take 3 months before this team is playing the way we want them to play.
Okay, then if you're willing, I'd like to move on to Huddersfield-Chelsea.
Let's do it.
So it finished Chelsea 3, Huddersfield 0 away, and Chelsea were at Huddersfield. I would argue Chelsea were not that good. So they were trying to do the Sarri ball thing, right, where they press the opposition and where Chelsea play the ball out quickly from the back and they all get tight around each other and move the ball quickly. The first half especially, I saw a lot of Huddersfield pressure, led to Chelsea being unable to play the ball out. It was a little worrying. But then thumbs up to Jorginho for saving the day. Essentially, the guy that Sarri brought with him from Napoli is the guy that rescued Chelsea away to Huddersfield and made it work, even though I think Chelsea are very far from the finished Sarri ball product.
I would agree with that mostly. I would say it wasn't just Jorginho for me; it was Jorginho and N'Golo Kante.
Yeah,
not
there
surprisingly.
We go. So I want to give credit to you because I think I was saying in the preview that I thought in the midfield three, N'Golo Kante would be the number 6, the deepest, most defensive midfielder, and Jorginho would be more like one of the number 8s, free to roam.
Yep.
You had it the right way around, right? Jorginho was the central, deeper, at least to start guy. And N'Golo Kante was free to roam. And he roamed so much, he got himself a goal.
He did. And that was my big, again, the apology tour continues because I'm not necessarily going to apologize to Chelsea fans for saying like it's going to take them a while to get used to it because, again, there's a chance Huddersfield get relegated. There's a chance that Huddersfield are not as good. And so 3-0, maybe we'll see if that ends up being a really strong result or if they go and then struggle against their next opponent, then things are as they are. But it does seem like Jorginho and Kante will be more than happy to play together. And really, that was a big part about figuring out. I would agree with you for the first half, they struggled to play out of the back. And I think that those two players, the way they dropped in and shifted and just kind of kept that movement, that was a key thing for me this weekend was seeing the teams that had already figured out how to move and how to kind of keep that movement going were the ones who really stood out above their opponents.
There we go. And just to get specific about Jorginho, he had this weird, like, middle-of-the-air, like, Neo-esque Matrix flick to, I believe was it to Pedro? To get the move started for the first goal, right? And then he also...
plays in Ross Barkley?
Yeah, he plays in that pass to Ross Barkley, who lays it off to Alonso to win the penalty kick, and takes a very, very cheeky penalty
kick. A baby Panenka? I'm calling it a baby Panenka.
Why a baby Panenka?
I'm sure there's a technical term for it, but it's because it has...
An insult penalty is what it was.
Yeah. I really want to know if there is a name for this but for now it's baby Panenka, because it has all the familiar symptoms, it just doesn't have the chip. But it's the semi-aggressive run-up and the big step that definitely sends the keeper the wrong way, and then just the nice little in-step pass, and he's calmly trotting away before it's even halfway into the goal.
Oh, did you see the Huddersfield manager David Wagner quote after the game?
Yes.
I'm going to paraphrase and possibly butcher it, but he essentially said, like, we have like discipline and hard work and determination, and they have Eden Hazard to bring off the bench.
That's right. That's right.
Which is what happened for the final goal.
I was confused. I thought it was like, I saw that quote. I didn't see one in relation to Jorginho's penalty. Now I'm with you.
I think Pedro scores it right, but Eden Hazard breaks free and dribbles away from everybody and squares it to Pedro in a FIFA side pass kind of way. Yeah.
That was another...
At least David Wagner has a sense of humour about it.
Yeah, that's good. That was another haves and have-nots aspect of the weekend. Was like Eden Hazard coming off the bench, Kevin De Bruyne, Lee Rossana, somebody else absurd coming off the bench for Man City. It was definitely the teams that you expect to be up there had those benches that were more than a little strong.
All right, you mentioned Man City.
Sure.
I feel like we should hit the Arsenal-Man City game because it was the Sunday 11 o'clock game, which in many ways is the high-profile game of the week, right? Plus, it was the two biggest teams meeting, I believe.
I have thoughts.
You have thoughts. Please share your thoughts in the form of thumbs.
All right, thumbs down, I think, to Petr Cech.
Okay.
Because...
For the almost own goal, that would have been hilarious?
For a few things.
Okay.
So, first off, I want to say he has that amazing save in the 1v1 with Sergio Aguero. That said, I mean, it should have been a goal because Sergio Aguero should have squared it to Kevin De Bruyne, then it's an easy tap-in.
Kevin De Bruyne certainly thinks so.
He did. That was great from Petr Cech. I would argue pretty much everything else was not. So, as you mentioned, he's trying to play with his feet. They're trying to build out of the back Arsenal. He has the one where it goes to him. He tries to play it with his left foot. He almost passes it into his own goal, concedes a corner. Ooh. That's not great.
I still shudder thinking about it.
Even for Sterling's first goal, it's definitely like screened and he sees it late, but I think he gets his footwork wrong, which is why he isn't able to fully extend on his dive, and he doesn't even fully extend his left arm. I think that is a savable shot if his mechanics are right, and they weren't. And then the other one that he got so much praise for, the announcers went nuts, the crowd went nuts, was the free kick save he had from Riyad Mahrez, and then it's the Laporte follow-up. But if you look at that, the wall has the near post in the middle of the goal covered, and Petr Cech is standing in the middle of the goal. He's not covering the side of the goal that he should be. I feel like he should be central but cheating to the right, and instead he's just very central to the point where he's having to lean around the wall to see what Mahrez is doing, and Mahrez then hits it to the the far post. Petr Cech gets down low but spills it. And then there is that opportunity for Laporte. So even then, it felt like his mechanics weren't right, his positioning wasn't right.
So are we expecting maybe Bernd Leno, a decade junior to Petr Cech, new signing from Bayer Leverkusen, that he may get the start sooner rather than later?
I would be surprised. If it was up to you,
it sounds like yes.
Well, no, because it's Petr Cech. It was just a few moments where he was still getting praise, and it felt to me like if that were Joe Hart, he's not getting praised for that. He's getting criticized for spilling it, and his positioning was bad, and how do you not extend that arm, and blah, 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 blah. So it was one thing that stood out to me from a game where lots of stuff stood out was Petr Cech's performance.
So there's lots of stuff to talk about. I want to give thumbs up to Benjamin Mendy for the shark assist.
Okay.
Yeah? 2 shark assists, no less.
I'm conflicted about Benjamin Mendy.
I know you are, but let's praise him first, and then we'll get to your concerns afterwards. So Benjamin Mendy, for me, did a very interesting thing where he played left back, at least to begin with.
Yep.
And then part of the new Pep Guardiola
say left back
plan,
in quotes, but sure.
Yeah, well, exactly. So left back when they're defending in a back 4, right? But then when City attacked, Benjamin Mendy would drift from left back into central midfield, right? And Kyle Walker would sort of go from right back to centre backs. He'd have 3 centre backs. And then Mendy from central midfield would burst diagonally left. So it became this weird underlap to join Raheem Sterling on the left that I think really confused Manchester City.
Yeah.
Really confused the Arsenal defence. So if you get the first goal, the Raheem Sterling goal, it's Mendy plays the ball to Sterling, right?
Yep.
Mendy plays the ball to Sterling, then sprints wide left, takes, I believe, Mesut Ozil with him, opens at least a little bit of space for Sterling to dribble across. Guendouzi is confused. We can maybe talk about him later. Doesn't get the step on Sterling. That's where the goal comes from, right?
Yeah, and that's why Mesut Ozil then stopped running for the rest of the game because he learned I don't need to track my runners. Second
goal is Mendy bursts from the middle, dribbles out to the left. I think it ends up in a bit of a 1-2 with maybe Sterling, and then is able to get to the end line. Looks like he's going to cross. Does the Monaco cutback, finds Bernardo Silva. This is a thing apparently that they used to do a lot at Monaco, is get to the end line, cut it back to the penalty spot. It's for the second goal. I thought when he played it, he's overhit that or underhit it and it's behind Bernardo Silva. I forgot Silva's left-footed.
Yep.
It's actually the perfect ball for Silva. If you're familiar with that teammate and you know he's left-footed, it's an ideal pass from Benjamin Mendy. Shark assists.
I'm in with you on that one. But if you kind of don't know that relationship exists, you think it's a mishit pass that Bernardo Silva just adapts to. But I think you're right. It's laid back for him properly.
Yeah.
My concern, though, or my issue is just that, again, I think if this is another player, we hear more criticism. But Benjamin Mendy is very liked. He's funny. He's charming on social media. He seems like a nice fellow.
And he ends the game with the 2 highlights I just talked about.
Yeah.
Right? So if you just see the highlights, you're like, this guy caused absolute mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Raheem Sterling does the heavy lifting for that first goal, but sure. But it's just that his positioning, Benjamin Mendy, I wasn't even quoting, I wasn't putting air quotes around him playing left back because he came central. I was putting air quotes around left back because I'm not sure he's a very good left back.
In terms of what?
I think he's, in terms of, not even maybe defending, but specifically playing out of a defensive situation. When they win the ball in their own defensive third, Mendy, some of his decision-making was suspect, as was his positioning. He gets megged by Hector Bellerin. I would say that was Arsenal's, really their only chance of the first half was Bellerin megs Mendy because Mendy is too far inside. Then he goes sprinting out wide, and he's out of control.
When Hector Bellerin does that, do you think he said, "Remember me"?
I don't know what that's in reference to.
Oh, never mind then. I'll explain later.
Okay. But I think that was not great work from Benjamin Mendy. You sure you don't want to explain it now?
It's fine.
Okay. And then you had a few different errant passes where it just felt like he was sort of like, I can do whatever I want, and he played hospital balls that led to free kicks, that led to shooting opportunities for Arsenal. So that all led to the quote from Pep Guardiola that was basically like, we want him to work a little bit more and maybe focus less on social media.
I was interested in that quote afterwards. I feel like the social media thing is a bit of a misdirection, as essentially just not specifically wanting to say should focus more on his passing.
Yeah,
because that would be too specific a critique.
Yeah,
and I got just so listeners know what's happened. I was all up on Mendy when I came. I watched this game live, just like you did. When we came in the office, you showed me like an edited highlights of you finding it on the DVR of. Here's where Benjamin Mendy gave the ball away.
Yeah. And
to me, it was a lot. It was when he was at left back and bringing the ball out, or it was when he was in central midfield and he was being pressured. He just played some not very good passes, essentially, and got either he got stepped to or his pass went to someone who was immediately tackled because he'd put them in a bad situation. So there's definitely a lot of work for Mendy still to do to get with the Manchester City rhythm.
Guardiola feels like the type of manager who sees Mendy like on his phone one too many times and just stores that, and then in a moment is like, yeah, he needs to be off his phone a little bit more. And there you go. But I think you're right that even like some of the errant passing from City, it wasn't just Mendy. Ederson had some bad passes. There was a couple playing out of the back where it just felt like City were just a bit too casual, and I think Guardiola didn't specifically want to say that, so he phrased it as like where we are in this season, it's a good result, but there is a lot to be improved upon.
Could we frame this as one of the reasons that, say, Mendy's passing and other Man City players' passing were not so good is that Arsenal's pressure, the pressure Arsenal put on Man City with the ball, especially as the game went on, was actually pretty decent.
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah, okay. I'm glad you agree.
I just feel bad.
Ready for you to disagree.
I feel bad with the actually. That's all.
Well, because I think Arsenal fans, we were texting with Alexis Gross of Cooligans, who's an Arsenal fan, were very frustrated by what they saw in this game. I think because they've been waiting so long for the post-Wenger era. I would argue that in many ways they're just very unfortunate that the first game of the post-Wenger era was against Manchester City.
Yeah.
And actually there was a lot of quite good stuff in terms of the pressure Arsenal put on the ball. Even Guendouzi, even though he had a bad start to the game and he literally missed a few balls, he did some good defensive work in terms of closing people down.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm with you. I think it always, the one I always go to is Jurgen Klopp when he first took over at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And it was sort of in that first game when he was in charge, you could see moments of the press. You could see moments of the hunting in packs, and you kind of saw then, this is what they're going to be doing. You can see the players are responding to it.
Yep.
And I think you saw that here. You saw the bits and pieces, but then you saw moments when like the back four were pressing or aggressively or stepping high, and then the front three were standing. And I think it's going to take some time for them to figure out who needs to run where and when.
That's part of the plan, as I understand it, is for the front three to be allowed to be a bit freer, the rest of the team do the work, and then they set the front three free. That was also the disconnect that wasn't working for me for Arsenal as well. Like, think how many times that Aubameyang ran inside and the ball was played outside. Like, it never quite synced up, but I think it will do in the coming weeks.
See, that's what I'm saying, though, is that it wasn't necessarily that they didn't like work back defensively, those front three. It's that if you're standing and sort of like, I don't have responsibility, so I can just kind of hang out here or stay central, when your teammates win the ball back and they're ready to go, if you're just sort of like, okay, well, we got the ball. Like, you're standing, you're not making the runs when you need to make those runs.
So you're saying like the front three's transition to counter-attacking should maybe happen a few seconds earlier, so they should already be making the run, so it's already happening.
And to toot your horn, I would say that, which sounds vaguely sexual, but whatever, I would say that when it looked the most effective transitioning from defense to attack is when Lacazette came in the second half.
It did, right?
And that's what we talked about, was Lacazette and Aubameyang, the way they would combine and kind of switch positions at times or switch positions on the field. That really seemed to cause problems. Even if some of the communication, again, wasn't there. There was the one with Lacazette and Ozil in the second half that was really probably their best chance.
What was that? I feel like partly that was Lacazette being very surprised that Ozil didn't have a better touch, which I think is fair. And then he was almost scared to intervene and rescue it for Ozil because he's Ozil. Maybe he meant to do it.
I think the other one, I watched this a couple times. I think he doesn't know that Ederson is coming out. And so I think he thinks, Ozil's just going to run through. He's going to get a shot first time. I don't want to disrupt it, so I'm going to leave it. And then Ederson just takes the ball off of his foot.
What about my man, Lucas Torreira?
What about him?
I think there's an argument that he should have started in defensive midfield and helped even more with the Arsenal pressure.
Was it the 3-0 scoreline that indicated that to you?
No, this finished 2-0, right?
Oh, was it only 2?
Yeah, it was 2-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
It felt like 5.
Goals from Sterling, and so it did really feel like the Arsenal were never really in this. So there is that element to it. I feel like the Guendouzi, Granit Xhaka combined midfield is something that's going to work against lesser opposition. But against Manchester City, for me, unless he was like not fit or slightly injured or whatever, Lucas Torreira absolutely should have started this game because he would have closed some stuff down as it came through.
Yeah,
I mean, that's his whole job, right? Get in the way, block the passing, block the shots, do some destroying.
So then why go Guendouzi?
I have no idea. I think it was a really... I mean, maybe he's impressed in pre-season, because he has when I saw some highlights, but for a guy who's, I think, only ever played in League 2 in France for Lorient, I think it was a really big ask to go up against a Manchester City midfield.
Or was it a gamble?
It was a
that
gamble.
They never saw coming. And then maybe it didn't pay off that much.
Exactly. Yeah. Final thing, if I was to pronounce Hector Bellerin's name as Hector, would Remember Me make more sense?
Nope.
No? Okay. I'll explain later.
Well, you've already teased it twice. What you got? Let's do it.
It's from Coco.
Coco? I haven't seen Coco.
Oh, that's the problem then.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
You should have seen Coco.
Yeah. There we go. We've talked about Coco before with me saying, oh, yeah, I haven't seen that. I probably should.
I feel like
And then I think you saying you're dead inside.
Yeah, I feel like I've been pushing it so hard that I just expected you would have seen it by now.
Nope.
Yeah. Like how
I'm too busy watching 400 soccer games in a weekend.
Yeah, right. It was a busy weekend of soccer, wasn't it? Okay, we've still got more games to talk about.
We sure do.
But first, today's show is sponsored by Blue Apron. Blue Apron delivers farm-fresh ingredients and step-by-step recipes to your door in a nice refrigerated box.
That's right. So the season is getting off to I'm going to say like a slow start for some, a fast start for others.
Depends
but
who you
it's
are.
still everybody figuring things out. Blue Apron's got it all figured out. They've got it all in one box. It's all together, ready to go. It knows what it's doing.
So when the people at Blue Apron are choosing their ingredients, they know when the transfer window is. They get their work done early. They know what recipes are going to be in the box.
There's no strawberries in December.
Exactly. They know what ingredients are going to be in the box. And then the tactical instructions for how to put it together, it's all there step by step, as if Pep Guardiola himself had put it together after 3 years of being at a club.
Yep. You've got cheese.
There's no week one sorry ball with Blue Apron.
Yeah. True. You've got cheeseburgers with spicy slaw. I'm looking at the photo. That's got a cheeseburger in it. Daryl doesn't eat meat. And it seems to have a lot of cucumbers on top. Daryl doesn't eat cucumbers.
There are vegetarian options for Blue Apron subscribers. So I subscribe to the Blue Apron vegetarian package, and they send you a nice 3 options of vegetarian food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And because you don't eat them, I'm going to get the cheeseburger twice, which isn't a possibility. I'm going to find a way to do it. I'm going to double my meat intake.
That just seems mean to your own body.
Hey. There's cucumbers in there and slaw. That's vegetables. It's fine.
What if our listeners would like to check out this week's menu and get their first 3 meals free? Where would they go, Taylor?
They can check out this week's menu and get their first 3 weeks free at blueapron.com/TSS. That's blueapron.com/TSS to get your first 3 meals for free.
Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Mm-hmm. Thank you to Blue Apron. Thank you to Daryl for finally explaining the Coco reference, because I found myself in the back of my mind, 15% of my brain was dedicated to figuring out, remember me? What am I missing here? Remember the Titans? That's not it.
Remember to watch Coco.
Okay.
How about that?
I figured it was either something I hadn't seen or Westworld. And even then, even if I had seen it, I still wouldn't get the reference.
I know I made some Westworld references. Mm-hmm. I do not recommend watching Westworld.
I know. That's a strange opinion.
Yeah. Watch Coco.
You've watched all of it. I think you're still going to watch season 3, and yet you don't recommend watching Westworld.
I'm going to begrudgingly watch season 3. Yeah. Can we talk about Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Let's do it.
I want to say thumbs up to Ruben Neves, and Raul Jimenez for proving me wrong.
Okay.
Do you remember in the previews I said...
I remember your Ruben Neves preview. Yeah.
I said that Neves would not have the glamorous, highlight-worthy goals that he had last year, and probably won't have many assists either, that you'll see him sitting a lot deeper and just pulling the strings from deep but not appearing on the stat sheet. I said that maybe Raul Jimenez would soon lose his starting spot, because I'm not sure he could cut it in the Premier League. What we get is, in Wolves 2, Everton 2, there's lots of other stuff to talk about, like Phil Jagielka and all that. We get a Ruben Neves free kick in the first half that he puts in the top corner, and then a Ruben Neves cross assist to Raul Jimenez to head home for the equaliser. So they've proved me wrong in the first week, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, if your prediction was that Raul Jimenez would lose his starting spot, I'm not sure they've proved you wrong yet with that one.
I think so. I would agree with you that his overall performance was not all that great.
Well, I'm just saying he didn't start, so then he can't lose his starting spot.
He did start.
Didn't he come on as a sub?
No.
Raul Jimenez started?
Raul Jimenez started.
Wow, that's a testament to how little I saw him in the first 30 minutes that I assumed he was a second-half substitute.
No, Raul Jimenez started this game. Yeah. And he finished this game with a header.
Wow.
Yeah.
I genuinely did not know he was involved in the first 30 minutes.
Who did you think played centre forward?
I thought it was
some other guy?
I thought Helder Costa was up there doing things by himself.
So Wolves play a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
The front three was Jimenez, literally number 9 in the centre, Costa to his right, and Diego Jota to his left.
I do not remember hearing his name at all in the first half. Wow.
Was your volume down?
That could be. No, what I do remember, though, with Raul Jimenez, and the reason why I'm still sort of mixed on him, that header...
You forgive me for being skeptical of your opinions right now.
That's fine. The header that's well done. It's falling away. It's still a directional header. If he just hits it, it probably goes into the hands of Pickford. So that's well done. The thing that I'm very frustrated by is his 1v1 situation. He has a 1v1 breakaway. Mm-hmm. He looks to square it. The square isn't on, so then he tries to finish. But compare that to Wilf Zaha, where he basically takes that touch and waits and kind of evaluates the situation, waits for the goalkeeper to leave his feet, slots it underneath. It's a calm, composed, aware of everything and what's happening finish. With Jimenez basically, the pass isn't on, I'm just going to bash this ball. And it feels like he kind of panics, it doesn't know what to do. That's not what you want from your number 9 in a 1v1 situation.
This is my concern with Raul Jimenez. Is I've seen enough of him for Mexico and bits of him at Benfica that he's just not 100% reliable, calm all the time. But at the same time, that header means he definitely starts the next game, right? There's there's a lot of credit.
I mean, I won't know if he starts, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll text you and I'll point him out to you. Are you confused because he has Raul on his back instead of Jimenez?
No,
maybe?
I'm confused because I genuinely was not paying attention to anything he did. Mostly because Wolves were going so direct and it felt like it wasn't working.
You feel like Wolves were going direct?
Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't feel like what Wolves were doing. It didn't feel very connected to me, at least in the beginning of the first half.
So, okay, here's an interesting thing. This is another Alexis Guerrero's complaint.
Yeah.
What I saw Wolves doing is what they did last year, which is go side to side. Right? They would go. They always have left wing back, right wing back, way out on the touchline, and they will very often go direct from the left to the right. Or they'll go like left wing back to centre midfielder like Neves, and then he will go diagonally or laterally, like high ball, all the way to the other side, right? And in the Championship, what that did was they kept doing that. Teams would eventually get, as teams shuffled from side to side, they would get spread open, and then Wolves could like pass through the middle. Then Helder Costa could run through a gap in the middle, and he'd be centrally in on goal, right? But once again, up against, similar to what Fulham experienced against Crystal Palace, up against a more organised, just basically better team than you face in the Championship in Everton, suddenly that doesn't quite work all the time, right? Because they're too smart and too experienced to get pulled out of shape so easily.
Yeah, I guess direct is the wrong term. You're right, because direct would imply like the direct overballness of like Route 1 soccer.
Yeah.
And I think I just mean more direct of like it felt like they had, this is what we're going to do, and then it was sort of Everton felt very much prepared for what they were going to do. And really, if Jagielka doesn't get that red, I mean, I know they were doing it before he gets the red. We talked about that on the text conversation.
Yeah.
But it just still felt like they kind of didn't have an answer outside of let's just keep doing that and see if it comes off.
I want to give you a great example. Everton's goal, Everton's first goal to open the scoring, it's from a free kick, right? A free kick is from the Everton's left-hand touchline crossed in, Richarlison scores it, right? That free kick is given away when Otto, the new Wolves sign-in, he's the left wing-back, tried a cross-field ball to Matt Doherty, who's the right wing-back. He tried to just hit it straight across the field, under-hit it, and Doherty had to chase back and foul, I think Richarlison had to foul someone to try and win that ball. So a crossfield ball failure leads to the free kick that leads to Everton's first goal.
There you go.
But I do like that my team, because again, I'm a Wolves fan, I like that they had a style and stuck to it, and eventually at least Wolves got a result. So it's not as if we had this style, we tried it, and we lost 3-0. Now things feel bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. With that, though, I do want to go back to thumbs up to us for saying that maybe Phil Jagielka was not prepared to do the high line and do everything that Marco Silva wanted. That wasn't even the case here, but
it was specifically the passing the ball out of the back that Phil Jagielka could not do.
Yeah, well, he couldn't even receive the ball out of the back for this one.
That's step one.
But yeah, it's basically we're talking about the Phil Jagielka red card, and it comes about because it's a square ball that he just takes a really heavy touch on and then has to make up for. It's a lunging tackle. To me, it's definitely a straight red.
Yeah.
I'm more so confused by the mechanics of what he's trying to do, Jagielka, because he's advanced, he's backpedaling to be able to receive that ball so they can kind of keep moving it around.
Yep.
But for some reason, it's only for a half second. I watched this way too much. It's only for a half second, but he's backpedaling and he stops. And I think he thinks the ball is being played into his feet, but it's being played into like the space where he basically could have backpedaled, let it run across the front of him, and then he could have dribbled off to his right.
Yeah.
But because he stops,
trying to do that. I think he's trying to take a touch and just swivel slightly to his right and open up, and he just misses the ball.
But what I'm saying is before he even gets the ball, he stops, and then he has to start backpedaling again. And I think that it just feels like he's kind of thinking about 5 different things, but not being in the moment of, I'll just continue the backpedal, I'll get that touch. So he stops, then he starts, then that kind of rushes his first touch. That's why I think it's a sloppy first touch. But it's just a bunch of little moments.
On it. Diego Jota is like, I recognize what's happening here. I'm in a pressing team. I'm going to go get that ball.
Yep.
And then Jagielka lunges to try and it's essentially a panic lunge to try and make up for his missed touch, right?
Yes.
That's my explanation.
And then he thinks he's getting ball. He's maybe a little bit slower than he thought he would be. It studs exposed. It studs into the ankle. We've talked about this many times in the past, that studs up does not necessarily mean a red card. That's not in the laws of the game.
But dangerous is, or excessive force is. And if studs go into ankle, that's a no-no.
I'd say, dangerous, excessive force, out of control, all of those things apply in this tackle.
Did you watch this on NBC?
No, I did not. I had to watch it on a stream because I didn't realize at the time that I could watch it on NBC.
So at halftime, it was, I believe it was Rebecca Lowe, Carl Martino, Robbie Earl. They were all very confused about whether the red card to Jagielka was for denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, because potentially Jota's in on goal, or whether it was for
violent contact.
No, dangerous play. Violent contact would be like a punch in the face, right? But dangerous play is a
serious foul play.
Yeah. Or whether it's for that.
Yeah.
And I was confused by their confusion because, one, things can be two things.
Yeah.
But two, it's a red card either way, right? So we're not debating about whether it should be a red card or not. We're just debating about what the referee writes in his book and maybe what Jagielka's punishment is, how long the ban is. Yeah. But that's not really germane to the moment of the game, right?
No, you got to talk about something.
You think that's partly it?
Maybe, or maybe that was the unscripted aspect of it, of
it just seemed important in the moment.
Or one disagreed with the other, and so they kept kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
In the way that sometimes you and I will get caught up in a detail that doesn't really matter, and then it's sort of
we'll forget Fernando Llorente.
Wait 4 seconds later, and then we're fine. Yeah.
One thing Everton fans were not thrilled about. We agree it was a red card, right?
Yeah.
And it's maybe unlucky because maybe another ref just says yellow card, but there's justification for a red card. Did you notice where the foul happened and where Ruben Neves stepped up and scored that free kick from?
So, yes. And I would say one thing that I was going to bring up at some point is that a thing that I really enjoyed the opening weekend. It's exciting to have the Premier League back. I wasn't sure I would feel that way because we haven't had much of a break. But I was. The one thing I genuinely missed was VAR. And there's this weird security blanket of VAR.
We'll talk about Liverpool later.
And that's what it was for me in this game. Wolves get that free kick, then they somehow take it 5 to 10 yards further up the field.
The only explanation I can give is that everyone's so focused on Jota after the foul, and he's rolled forward a little bit, right, as part of, I don't think he was faking anything, but he's just rolled forward in pain.
Yeah.
They end up taking the free kick from the spot where Jota came to rest, as opposed to the spot where Jagielka fouled him.
Okay.
Which is either Ruben Neves was being sneaky, or it was just sort of a misunderstanding that everybody missed where the original foul happened.
Yeah.
The referee's job, right, to mark it, and he didn't.
But there should be, I don't know if that is necessarily reviewable, but it was just a good reminder that with VAR there, you can alleviate some of that, the question mark that might hang over games. I mean, we talked about the Chelsea, the penalty, Marcos Alonso. I think that's a penalty, but it's very close. If you have that VAR, you kind of don't have to worry about it. You don't have that controversy. There were controversies. Liverpool, as you mentioned, Southampton, the Wolves free kick. Fulham had a penalty shout. So there were lots of moments when VAR could have been utilized. I understand why it's not being currently utilized, but the final thing I had with that was going back to the Tottenham game for a moment, the Jan Vertonghen header, that is awarded because of goal line technology.
Yeah, if referee just points to his wrist, right? The beeper's gone up, the ball was over the line.
If that's not there, if they don't have that, there's no way they give that goal because it's so close. And I just think
because the keeper is palming it out, right? So that's going to go down as a save. If there's not goal line technology.
No, and there's no. Maybe there's somebody on the line. There's that 5th and 6th official on the lines, but I still think you've already incorporated technology and it works to the benefit of the game. And really, it increases
the World
scoring
Cup
too.
Sold you. I feel like the demonstration of VAR stuff at the World Cup mostly convinced me that used correctly, this is absolutely worth using.
It was just a strange thing where you didn't have to worry. That it was if you thought it was a penalty, it was going to be looked at. And if you didn't think it was a penalty, it was going to be looked at. And it sort of, you would, even if you maybe disagreed with the call on occasion, for the most part, it gave you that sort of definitive answer right there.
Yep.
And it impacted the outcome of the game as well.
Okay, before we move on to Liverpool-West Ham, because that's the most VAR-centric conversation we could have, right? I just want to, because we've talked a lot about Wolves,
I got this one then.
I want to talk a little about Everton.
The apology tour continues for me.
Oh, really?
Because I'm going to go and apologize to Richarlison. Again, one game does not a season make. I'm going to keep repeating that.
But 2 goals in one game is a pretty good start.
I was very confused about why you would spend all this money for a player. It felt like bringing the familiar name that is familiar to the coach with him to the new club.
Yeah, this is the Jorginho Chelsea.
And I was all in on Jorginho. I was less so here. I've changed my tune a little bit. Not so much for the first goal. The first goal's fine. He draws the free kick. He converts the long ball into the box. It's a scramble, but he's there. Credit. The second goal, though, is amazing.
It's really good, right?
Because it is. I can't say whether or not he meant to do all the things he means to do, but it's just the finish. It's coming from that angle that he's coming, but he used the instep and he puts it over. I forget who it was, but he puts it over the defender's trailing heel.
It's Connor Cody.
Thank you.
Who, as a Wolves fan, I was interested in.
That goal's so pretty.
This is a guy who used to be a midfielder, went to the Championship with Wolves. Mm-hmm. They started playing in middle of a back three, and he basically, in the Championship last year, just got to spray balls around, just enjoyed himself knocking passes around from centre back.
Yeah.
That's maybe the first real defensive obstacle, first defensive challenge he's had, is Richarlison's running at you. What do you do? Pop quiz, hot shot, what do you do? And what you do is not get close enough, and Richarlison absolutely takes advantage. I believe Richarlison uses Cody as a screen on the goalkeeper, Patricio, and then he's able to bend it around both of them.
Yep. Yeah,
I feel about right.
It's beautiful play before that. There's the Baines nutmeg, but it's the Richarlison finish that it really felt like, ooh, okay, I get my way. Maybe you bring him in because he scores important goals.
The other thing Richarlison did is he was temporarily marked by Ruben Neves, and he just hit the Jets, and Neves was like, whoa, where's he gone?
Yeah.
And never has him again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Richarlison. I just pulled my notes out to remember what one little piece of information which you covered. Thank you for knowing whose heel it went over.
Yeah.
I have 3 different notes.
Oh, I know all the Wolves players that did things wrong.
I have 3 different notes on Jimenez from the first half. So I'm just an idiot then. Just when typing my notes, I missed that one. So that's on me. That's on me there.
To be fair, we have watched a lot of games this weekend.
Yeah, even so.
I'm getting things jumbled in my head.
I do feel for Everton fans because I think that red card really does change the game. Even if it doesn't necessarily change the way Wolves are playing or the way Everton were playing.
One thing it did change for Everton is the sub that Silva immediately made, which I think is the right choice but feels harsh, is he subs off Gylfi Sigurdsson, number 10 playmaker, to bring in Mason Holgate so that they have 2 centre-backs.
Right.
So because in many ways Sigurdsson is the something of a luxury playmaker type guy. Once you're down to 10 men, you maybe can't carry him. You just need a bunch of hard workers. Not that he's not hard working, but you know what I'm saying.
No, but that's what I was getting to was that like it doesn't necessarily change the style that Everton are going to play, but once you have that center back gone, you've got to make that substitution. It means that you don't have that 10. It means everybody's going to drop a little bit more. And even if you're still trying to play high line, high press, to do the high press, to do the intense system that they're trying to do, and have one fewer player, it's going to be a problem.
In fact, can I say thumbs up to Gylfi for the way he took that?
Yeah,
he looked disappointed, understandably, being subbed out in the 41st minute when you've done nothing wrong. But he also didn't throw a fit, didn't complain. He just kind of went over. I think he shook hands with Mason Holgate, tapped him in the stomach, go get him. And so that's a good teammate. Right there.
I think in those moments you also understand that it's not about your performance; it's about the changes you have to make.
Right? Yeah. Speaking of changes you have to make, so Everton very late transfer window signed Yerry Mina, centre back, and loaned. We believe it went through
Kurt Zouma. It did.
Kurt Zouma. I think Phil Jagielka's made it a lot easier for the new centre-backs to come into the team, right? Michael Keane, I think, did okay. I don't know if he got beat for the Jimenez goal or not. I think he did, actually. So it's very possible that at least Yerry Mina, after all the money they spent on him, is going straight in that team next week.
Yep. Yeah. I would say that's definitely a good chance.
Everton will be better for it because he sort of covers more ground than Jagielka, is better on the ball than Jagielka, score more from set pieces than Jagielka.
Better in the air than Jagielka.
Things are not looking good for Jagielka, is what I'm saying.
Don't think so. Things are looking good for Watford. A team that I thought maybe might be likely for relegation. I think their opponent in this weekend might be more likely to get relegated based on the based on the results.
I only saw quick highlights of this. I want to say it was Watford. It's like a pop quiz. Watford 2,
Brighton 0.
Brighton 0. Pereira with both the goals. Roberto Pereira.
Yeah. And the first one. Oh, the first one.
What happened in the first
one? That's
one?
Master Set Piece Theater. So it's a corner. Doucouré takes it short to Holebas. And this is, I think Ian Wright pointed this out, that it was a thing they did last season. I don't care about that. But it's about the way they do this is it's completely disguised. Pereira is standing about 25 yards from goal, outside the box, unmarked. And he is acting for all the world like, oh, I'm just here in case it spills to me.
I've just remembered this
remembered
goal.
it, didn't you?
It's an incredible goal.
And Holebas plays it in. Maybe between the penalty spot and the top of the 18, that's where Pereira hits it first time. It's a perfect technical volley into the back of the net. But it's just the fact that Pereira's sort of sitting there like, oh, don't mind me. Like, I'm not going to move. I'm too... And then he...
Don't mind me.
But it's as soon... The thing that really gives it away for me is that as soon as it's played short, his sort of ambling motion towards goal becomes a very specific... not sprint, but like determined jog to get into
Determined jog.
almost the exact spot where the ball goes. I think he has to adjust a tiny little bit, but it's very clearly designed to distract, to create space for him to get into, to hit that volley.
It's so simple, but there's an awful lot to be said for when two teammates know where the ball is going.
Yep.
That's a huge advantage you have over the opposition. Right?
Yeah, that's good. Second goal, a good goal, but nowhere near as good as the first. I think that first goal was the goal of the weekend, and like decent chance that we see that as a nominee for goal of the season.
That's interesting.
Many months from now.
But
I just wanted to say the other reason why I wanted to mention this game is just because I was really surprised by how not good Brighton looked. More so than like
Pascal Gross Cruyff turns.
There was maybe one of them. There was a Cruyff turn this weekend. The one that stands out was Kingsley Coman for Bayern Munich.
Yeah,
Gross may have done that.
That wasn't for Brighton. Though.
Not so much. No, the bigger ones were just how discombobulated Brighton looked, specifically their defense. They multiple times on free kicks, I couldn't get over this. I only watched like 30 minutes of this game, but I couldn't get over on every single free kick. They would hold a line, you'd see them organizing, and then always two players would just drop 5 yards for no reason. Like before it was just like, what are they doing? And they would step at the wrong time, and they would try to be compact at the time when Watford were spread, and then they would try to be spread when Watford were happy to like let them spread out. It just felt like Brighton didn't really have that plan in the way that other teams at least were trying to execute a kind of consistent game plan. Brighton have some stuff to deal with.
Fair enough. All right, I feel like we've, in many ways, buried the lead here.
Yeah.
The most impressive team this weekend, to my eyes,
we already talked about Man United.
Were Liverpool Football Club.
Oh, okay.
Liverpool beat West Ham 4-0. Liverpool beat West Ham 4-0.
Yeah.
This was the most complete performance, the most we're going to challenge for the title looking performance, the most... it's not pre-season, it's mid-season performance I saw out of any team this weekend. I'm going to start with thumbs, not up, but thumbs everywhere for Naby Keita.
Yep.
Because Naby Keita was exactly what we thought he would be.
Yep.
He was an energetic, dynamic presence, making tackles, but he also, crucially, was a new attacking weapon. He was running in behind the West Ham defensive midfield into gaps to start moves, right?
Yep.
Even I think the first goal, right? It's a Mohamed Salah goal, but it starts when Trent Alexander-Arnold sees Naby Keita running behind, is it Declan Rice and Mark Noble, defensive midfielders, and he finds Naby Keita, and then Naby Keita makes his move happen. Does he go wide left to the left back whose name I've forgotten, the Scottish gentleman?
Andy Robertson?
Andy Robertson. And then Robertson squares it to Mo Salah.
I don't know who the he was there.
Yeah, the Scottish gentleman.
Yeah.
Andy Robertson. So that is a new thing that Liverpool have, is Naby Keita's attacking charge.
I mean, and he had that one little like dribble into the box where he almost pulled it off.
Yeah.
So he's capable of dribbling, he's capable of defending, he's capable of spreading the ball, he's capable of holding it up. Naby Keita is the signing we thought he was going to be.
He absolutely is. And we also saw Alisson, the keeper, like playing some nice passes out of the back. We saw Joe Gomez looking very mature at centre-back. It may be that Joe Gomez is the partner for Virgil van Dijk going forward. We saw West Ham tried to get...
I'd be surprised. Would you be surprised? I mean, you think Joe Gomez will beat out Dejan Lovren that easily?
I do not know. I suppose, maybe Lovren is coming back slowly from the World Cup, right? Virgil van Dijk, very much not. So we saw West Ham try to get compact and do that almost Newcastle thing where the back four sticks close together and they challenge you to go to the wings. They sent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson forward. That first goal I just described is from Arnold and Robertson advancing, stretching West Ham out. Liverpool just looked to me the complete package.
Yeah, I mean, so too is I think it's the second goal for Liverpool. That's the one, the ball, like the long ball from the channel. James Milner slides in and passes it back, and then Sadio Mane. I think that's his first goal. And that one, again, that's from a fullback played over the top. It's James Milner. I've got thumbs up to James Milner for reminding us that he's the real James. He's not really, but just
in my heart he is.
He is. I think
in my jart he's the real James.
I think he had the most touches of any player in this game, if not in the entire Premier League this weekend.
That makes sense.
He was on the ball, but even when he wasn't on the ball, so much of his movement causes problems. Going from left to right to left, he pulls players out of position. He had a couple key crosses in the opening couple minutes. James Milner, once again, I was just like, oh, he's so good. He's just so good.
Here's the thing I think of for Liverpool going forward. They have the midfield three to start this game was Keita, who we mentioned, James Milner, who I think played most central of the three, I'm not entirely sure, and Giorgio Wijnaldum. That was their three. To add to that, they still have Jordan Henderson, who came into this game late. They have Fabinho, who they recently signed.
Yeah, this was another one.
To add to the midfield. And then when he eventually gets fit, they have Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who was 100% up to pace and was one of their starting midfielders last year. So essentially they have 6 central midfielders who can happily fill those 3 midfield spots at any given moment.
Yep. The thing with all that, we haven't even talked about many of the goals, but the thing that really stood out to me... True. All right. I feel better.
50%.
One of my favorite moments, and I don't know why, was one of West Ham's only attacking moments was they had
it's a depressing sentence.
They get basically it's I think it was Sadio Mane and Naby Keita both ended up double teaming. I forget who it was, but he ends up getting a half cross in that's easily handled by Alisson, and Virgil van Dijk
sounds like Antonio.
That sounds about right. And Virgil van Dijk turns to close up on him because he had just won a header moments before. Turns, and if we're going to keep the Cooligans expletive in place, the expletive cover, turns and very clearly says, "Hey, don't let him Cooligans and cross." And then 3 minutes later, West Ham are in the exact same spot. And the player's shown to the touchline, and he has to try to cross one in. It goes out for a corner, and that's when you see Virgil van Dijk turn and emphatically applaud. And it was just that moment of oh, they're even aware of the exact spots they don't want people crossing and the exact spots where they do want them crossing, and they know how to force them into those spots already. That worrying signs if you're an opponent of Liverpool.
Yep. Also worrying is that they're allowed to get away with offside goals.
Yeah, that too. VAR, baby.
Mane definitely offside, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And afterwards, I enjoyed Pellegrini did the manager math where he was, I think the first goal from Mane that James Milner knocked down was right at the end of the first half. And Pellegrini in the post-match interview did a that one's at the end of the half. If we see it out, 1-0's a different game and they don't score that one because he's offside. So now it's 1-0. Maybe they don't score the 4th goal because they don't bring in Daniel Sturridge because it's only one. And suddenly it was no. You did not lose this game or draw this game 1-1. You can't
you lost 4-0.
Yeah, you can't quickly explain away 4 goals. That's not how this works.
So Sturridge off the bench scored immediately. Xherdan Shaqiri got his debut.
That was the one. Yeah, I knew there was another one lurking on the bench that I'd forgotten.
Had a little joke with Klopp coming on. It seemed to be in good humour. I would say Xherdan Shaqiri looked a little too eager to impress in this game.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything particularly wrong. He didn't do anything particularly right. I feel like maybe just debut out the way. Maybe we'll see better things from Shaqiri going forward.
Yeah. I have one more thing to say from this game.
Yeah.
This is going to sound strange, so bear with me.
All right.
But I want to say thumbs up to Liverpool for reminding me how impossibly difficult it is to be a soccer player at this level. And I want to spotlight Mark Noble. Unfortunate for Mark Noble, because he got left a lot on his own to try to put out multiple fires.
Where was Declan Rice? Declan Rice is supposed to be his defensive midfield.
Just having a wander, seeing what's up, because they were trying to keep it compact and they started to get stretched as the game went on. But it was this weird 5-minute sequence for me where I was watching and just realizing they never both teams really never stop. When you're at the Premier League and you're moving this the games are this competitive, you're just always moving. And there's one 15-second sequence when Mark Noble West Ham have the ball. He tries to play the ball forward, but first he's made a 20-yard run. He gets the ball, plays it forward. He loses the ball. Then he makes another 20-yard forward to try to make a tackle and is immediately up and sprinting back. Then he tries to go cover somebody else. Meanwhile, Liverpool are moving the ball and everybody's moving. And it was just a 30-second sequence. They ran harder and more distance than I would probably run in a 5-minute sequence. And it was just that sort of wow.
And still lost 4-0.
You forget how fit these guys are, but how quickly they have to be moving and thinking. And again, that...
It's almost like fitness is a prerequisite, right? Supreme fitness is a prerequisite of playing in the Premier League.
The supreme is the part that I forget about.
And that's just the base layer that then you have to put on technique.
Yeah.
And this was a question we had, right? For a listener question show. Technique and quick thinking and decision making and competitiveness, all that has to be built on top of it. But if you're lacking that first one, everything's going too fast for you to keep up.
I don't know why, but I found myself rewatching that sequence with Noble, just being that poor man, but also... I don't know how people do this and they don't just have their hearts give out.
Here's the thing. We've done every Premier League game except for Bournemouth, Cardiff.
I think also Burnley, Southampton didn't get a shout out.
Burnley, Southampton got no goals, right? So there we go.
Except there was Danny Ings should have gotten a penalty playing against Burnley.
I haven't seen it, but I concur.
Okay. Ben Mee definitely gets his foot before he gets the ball. And right at the end of the game, it was not. No.
Okay.
VAR, baby.
And then Bournemouth-Cardiff, I believe, finishes 2-0 to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
The only reason this rung with me, you're going to start seeing my Premier League bias come in now, is that this means that Wolves were the only promoted team to get a point.
Yeah, I was going to say not a great weekend for promoted teams. So
you could even look at the Wolves result and say, oh, you played against 10 men for more than a half. You probably should have got something. But the fact that Wolves got a point, to me, is enough to be an encouraging start.
All right. Yeah. That works for me. For me. And Callum Wilson gets 2 goals and missed a penalty, so good start for him for the season, more or less.
The almost hat-trick.
Yes.
All right, new segment that we want to introduce is US men's national team centric. We want to, every Monday show, we want to ask, which American won the week?
Yeah.
It wasn't DeAndre Yedlin,
It was not. There's only one answer, in my opinion, this week.
It's Emmanuel Sabi with his 2 goals for Hobro in Denmark.
There's only one answer this week. It's Timothy Weah. It's Timothy Weah before you make more jokes.
Yeah.
Unless you have more. Do you have other nominees?
Weston McKennie scored a nice goal in a friendly for Schalke against Fiorentina where he had this late burst into the box and just appeared at the far post. But Tim Weah is the right answer.
Tim Weah is the right answer, yes.
Why is Tim Weah the right answer?
In a 3-0 win over Con, I believe is how you're supposed to pronounce it. We've had this debate many, many times.
Yep.
Timothy Weah did not start. Neymar started at center forward for PSG. Cavani not even on the bench, I think. But Timothy Weah subs on. And if you watch the highlights,
10 minutes-ish.
If you watch the highlights, I knew he scored, so I went and watched. And I was like, oh, there's the goal. But he actually had 2 highlight moments. The first one, he makes. I was really happy with his positioning. It's just very good movement. He's in the box. He drifts towards the ball, but then he makes a darting run towards that near post. Yeah. Ball played in, gets a really good shot from a tight angle.
Keeper saves it onto the post?
Saves it onto the post, yeah. And it looked like for all the world like it was going in.
It's like an L-shaped run or a J-shaped run. It's actually the shape of the Juventus logo is the run that he makes.
Yes, it is.
Where he comes away from the centre-backs and then quickly in behind.
So a J.
For someone to find it.
Just a J.
Just a J, yeah.
But then the goal itself,
I shouldn't have put it in the heads of listeners. I know that you know what I'm saying. I want to make sure everybody knows what I'm saying.
I just like that you said the Juventus logo, the J-shaped logo.
Because they have a new logo.
I know.
So people could be thinking, what, that one with the stars on it?
Yes, I'm sure that's what people went with. But for his actual goal, Timothy Weah chases down, I believe, left center back Alexander Giku, forces him, again, the intensity, the pressure.
Yep.
He passes it back to Bryce Samba, the goalkeeper, who, what I can say about Bryce Samba, couldn't have said much before this game. I can tell you this now. Left-footed, Daryl. Left-footed. Because it's not a bad pass. Like, it's obviously going to Samba, but it's going to Samba's right foot. So he tries to receive it, step on it with his left foot and kind of roll it out, which is never going to work.
There was no time.
Timothy Weah there,
coming.
left instep. It wasn't even like a toe poke to poke it away, but it's just left instep, kind of blocks, kind of passes it into the goal. It is excellent effort from the youngster.
So this is a big deal because Tim Weah had made appearances, right? Hadn't finished a couple of chances that he'd had. I believe, scored in pre-season. I believe he got an assist in the French Super Cup. This was actual Ligue 1, proper league game that Tim Weah has scored for PSG.
Yep.
This is a big deal. This is, up there with the big boys, right? He has scored for the senior team in a league game.
And
Tim Weah.
I still can't believe this. Travis Clark and I talked about this last week on Top Drawer Soccer, that I remember him maybe it was last summer saying that he fully expected to be playing for PSG last season. And if not last season, then definitely this season. And we were both like, okay.
Oh, yeah. We're like, oh, good luck, Timothy. Yeah.
And here we are. Yeah. And here we are. And I do think Neymar started centrally, but that's not going to happen to the season. It will be Neymar on the left. It will be Cavani in the middle. It seems like it will be Tim Weah.
Mbappe didn't start this game either, right?
He did not.
He's still resting. I think Di Maria got some minutes.
He sure did. He started on the right. Yeah. And
so there is competition.
I think started on the left.
Yes. There is competition for places.
There is, but I think when it goes back to where they're all going to be, it's going to be Neymar on the left with maybe Nkunku behind him. It will be Mbappe on the right with maybe Di Maria behind him. And it will be Cavani in the middle with, I think, Timothy Weah behind him.
All right. That could work.
I'd be all right with that.
The great thing as well is because PSG tend to steamroll, that when Timothy Weah even gets 10 minutes, it's going to be 10 minutes of opportunities, right? Probably. It's not going to be 10 minutes of defending at the halfway line. It's going to be 10 minutes of running in behind defences on the end of really nice through balls.
He's going to finish with 380 minutes played and 15 goals.
7 goals. Yeah. Yours sounds better. Let's do that. All right, so Tim Weah won the week and filled our hearts with hope.
He sure did.
But he's not the only young player who's been doing things.
No.
There are lots of members of the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network.
You are not wrong.
Who've been up to all kinds of things. We're still catching up on all the scouting reports from while we were on tour.
Yep.
Also, Going to have a bit of a Scouting Network announcement towards the end of today's show. We're going to tweak things a little bit. There's a new opportunity to get involved.
All right.
I'll say no more till later.
That works for me, because instead we're going to get to the reports, starting with Tom Gaffney, scouting James Sands, the 18-year-old American defender midfielder for NYCFC. Sands played 90 and got an assist in a 1-1 draw with the Tigres under-20s in the MLS homegrown game.
Oh, I know, and this was a couple of weeks ago.
It sure was.
We were there.
Things have not been as rosy at club level, as he's yet to log any time in MLS in an MLS match this year. Manager Dom Torrent did have some words of praise for the youngster following New York's 3-1 defeat to Seattle, and mentioned that Sands might be able to find some time at fullback, which would be a new position for him.
Oh, MLS, treat your youngsters better. Up next, Patrick Keeler is scouting Anthony Robinson, the 20-year-old American left-back on loan at Wigan from Everton. Patrick says Anthony signed a new 3-year contract with Everton and was then loaned to Wigan for the upcoming season. He's already put in a couple of decent performances from what I've seen as well.
Burst of pace. Mason Kriz scouting Marco Farfan, 19-year-old American left-back for Portland Timbers /T2. Farfan got his first professional goal. Well done, Marco. In T2's 4-1 loss to Phoenix Rising, he pounced on the rebound off Foster Langsdorff's penalty and slotted the ball home.
Yay, Marco. Zachary Epstein is scouting Julian Araujo, the 17-year-old American centre-back for Barca's academy. Zachary says, having finished his first season at the Barca Academy in Arizona, a developmental team affiliated with FC Barcelona. Yeah, it's a development academy, right? Mm-hmm. Julian Araujo has signed his first pro contract and will join LA Galaxy 2 in USL. Mm-hmm. Didn't know this. He's going to be a Lost Usser. The 17-year-old won't begin training with the Galaxy until the end of this month after his 18th birthday.
There we go.
Maybe he could just play directly for the senior team who needs some centre-backs.
Yeah.
Go on, Araujo.
I think Hugo Arellano gets first step, but we'll see how that goes. Michael Thompson scouting Chris Gloucester, 18-year-old American left-back for Hanover 2. Hanover, how do you say it in German, Daryl?
Hanover. Zwei.
There we go. Hanover Zwei. Gloucester has been named to the Hanover Zwei squad, who played in the fourth tier of German soccer. Whatever. Too much.
Vierte.
There you go. His main competition for minutes at the left-back spot comes from Lars Ritzke, a longtime Hanover youth player who was the first choice for Hanover 2 last season and has started the first 3 games of this season.
Speaking of Hanover, I don't believe we've received a scouting report. I'm not sure how active our scout is. Chris Gloucester has a new American teammate.
Yeah, he does.
Sebastian Soto, who is a number 9, who's been playing for the US under-20s, we think is with Hanover.
Now, why do we think that?
Because it hasn't been officially announced, but he has been playing for their U19s, and you can't play in U19 games unless you're registered. So I think Soto
math right there.
Is a Hanover player.
That's problem solving.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. Mike Spinelli is scouting George...
I think he never actually said that. Did you know that?
Well, I just did.
There you go.
Mike Spinelli is scouting George Bello, the 16-year-old American left-back for Atlanta United. Mike says that George Bello made the matchday squad for Atlanta's clash with TFC. He was brought in, to shore up the ATL backline, which has been bleeding defenders due to injury, Gaza and Ambrose, and yellow card accumulation, Escobar. Bello didn't get any playing time, but he is expected to train with the first team for the foreseeable future. Bello is on the fast track.
Baby Bello. Jonas Lehmann-Karp scouting Matt Miazga, the 23-year-old American center-back on loan at Nantes from Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Chelsea signed U.S. international superstar, says Jonas, Matt Miazga to a new contract and then immediately loaned him to Nantes for the season with an option to make the move permanent.
One update I have is that Miazga didn't start for Nantes at the start of the Ligue 1 season, but did make the bench. I'm not sure if he came on or not. More updates on that as it happens.
Jeremy didn't start either, so I'm fine with it.
They're equal, right?
Yeah.
Equally talented. Maybe they are. Actually, I don't know. Cat Prickett is scouting Tyler Turner. Oh, this is a saga. Cat Prickett and the Tyler Turner saga.
Buckle up.
22-year-old American defender. Cat says, after some intriguing Instagram stories from Tyler Turner about coming out of retirement, The Mainland, which I believe is an SB Nation website, reported that Orlando Seawolves of the Major Arena Soccer League have added a third former Lion to their squad by signing defender Tyler Turner.
That sigh is correct, and I have nothing else to say.
Maybe he could make the United States Arena Soccer League national team?
It seems like a decent
shout.
Yeah,
we might see him September 16th against Mexico.
C is a word. Ira Jersey scouting Ashley Sanchez, 19-year-old American attacker for UCLA.
I know this is bad news.
Yeah.
I saw the result.
Ashley started and played 64 minutes in the USA's 1-0 loss to Japan in their U20 Women's World Cup opener on Monday, with the USA continuing to struggle in front of goal. They rebounded in their 6-0 drubbing of Paraguay, and Ashley scored the fourth goal by deftly finishing a cutback pass from Sophia Smith. Unfortunately for the Americans, they were only able to draw 2-2 with Spain in their final group stage game, meaning they are now out of the U20 World Cup. Even worse, Sanchez was subbed out at halftime in that one. Spain topped the group with 7 points, followed by Japan with 6.
And then US with less. This is bad, right? US women's national team, you'd expect the U20s to be competing strongly at U20 level, or at the very least playing some decent soccer. And every time I've seen this US women's national team, U20 team, they've essentially played long balls.
Yep.
Right? In a really distressing way.
Yeah. They played actual direct balls. Yes.
Yeah, actual direct balls. I'm gonna watch more because I think we're going to touch on this in the Top Draw Soccer Show this week. So I'm going to get a better read on it. But I'm pretty sure they played an uglyish style of soccer and paid the price for it. Deep breaths.
Yeah. I'll let you guys talk about that one. I'm still busy being sad.
Carolyn Akari is scouting Kellyn Acosta, the 23-year-old American midfielder for the Colorado Rapids. Carolyn says, after scoring against DC United, Kellyn Acosta scored against a Zlatan-less LA Galaxy. 2 for 2 in competitive matches, not too shabby.
Here we go. Andrew Baird scouting Josh Perez, 20-year-old American midfielder for another saga. After 3 years in Italy, Josh Perez is now a member of LAFC. He joined on a free transfer from Fiorentina and will be on the supplemental roster, which means his salary won't count against the cap. Andrew says that there's a temptation to think he'll get minutes right away, but LAFC is loaded with attacking talent. In no particular order, Perez is directly or indirectly competing for minutes with Carlos Vela, he's good, Diego Rossi, also good. I'll just say they're all good. Christian Ramirez, Latif Blessing, Marco Arena, Adama Diomande, and current US U20 Shaft Brewer. I'm sure Perez, says Andrew, will get some time and hopefully work his way into a starting role, but that's a crowded team to be walking into mid-season.
Yeah, I agree. I was sort of happy when I read this, but then the idea of him not playing in MLS, he may as well be not playing in Italy, right? But I don't know. We'll see what happens with Josh Perez. Keep us updated.
I genuinely don't know. I guess so, but maybe that's just me being a Euro snob.
Andrew, keep us updated. Jeff Markman is scouting Reece Nelson, the 18-year-old English midfielder for Arsenal. Jeff says Nelson got minutes in pre-season with Arsenal, assisting in their ICC match against Chelsea, and he scored in their final tune-up against Lazio. Reece looks well suited for Emery's press, demonstrating solid positioning and instincts as well as solid tackling skills for an attacking player and a nose for an interception. The wait for him to sign a new contract continues.
Solid all around. Will Herson scouting Ryan Sessegnon, the 18-year-old English left-winger for Fulham. Will has his Fulham season ticket reserved, which means he was there in person for Fulham's season-opening loss to Palace. Sess had a tough time dealing with Aaron Wan-Bissaka and wasn't able to kickstart Fulham's offense, which Will assures us is primed to score like 200 goals this season.
Well, you have to do it in 37 matches now. Steve Renard is scouting Yuri Tielemans, the 21-year-old Belgian midfielder for Monaco. Steve says Tielemans got playing time in PSG's pre-season, including their 4-0 loss to PSG. I believe that means Monaco's pre-season.
Yes. Sorry.
So Tielemans got playing time in Monaco's pre-season, including in their 4-0 loss to PSG.
You got it. Steve also included Tielemans discussing that loss to PSG, but it was a lot of athlete quotes, so we'll leave it at that.
Can I ask a question? Is the PSG for Monaco typo Steve's or is it yours?
Probably me.
All right.
Asked and answered. Ryan Marzak scouting Pione Sisto, 23-year-old Danish attacking midfielder for Celta Vigo. In a preseason friendly against Southampton, Pione scored a fabulous goal from outside the box into the top corner. For a while, it seemed like a big team would come in for him, but now that seems unlikely as the team is looking settled.
That's fine. No shame in playing for Celta Vigo. Right? I'd take it. They offer me a contract.
Yeah.
Why not?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, if you're out there, Celta Vigo, Daryl@TotalSoccerShow.com. Thank you to everybody who sent in.
That would be the least reputable, most suspicious email ever. Like, come play for Celta Vigo.
Click this link and give us your password, and we'll send you a contract. Thank you to everybody who sent in scouting reports today. If you would like to join the Scouting Network, it's TotalSoccerShow.com/join. I have literally about 15 people who've said, I've joined the network, waiting for my player. I just want to tell everybody I did receive those emails. I will be assigning players this week. I promise. I have the time and the technology.
All right.
I also want to tell you, when I talked about this, a new way of doing some Scouting Network stuff. We've heard from some people who want to be involved in the Scouting Network.
Wait, is this your announcement?
Yeah, this is the announcement.
All right.
So we've been hearing from people who want to be involved in the scouting network, want to support the show, like $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever it may be, but maybe don't want to go fully committing to scouting one player. So a way that we think people could help us is we're going to create a new role called talent spotters.
All right.
So if you sign up to join the scouting network and let me know you want to be a talent spotter, I'll make it an option when you fill out the form to begin with. What we'll do is we'll create one big Google Doc. And if you're a talent spotter, I'll give you access to the Google Doc. And the plan is, if you spot a talented young player, or you just hear of a talented young player, maybe you see a highlight on Twitter or read a story or whatever, add the player's name to the talent spotter list, maybe give a quick explanation of why they should be added to the scouting network, and then I can take that player and, if they're good enough, assign them to someone in the scouting network. Does that make sense?
It does. Are people allowed to do both?
Yes, I think people are allowed to.
So they can scout and be a talent spotter?
If they want to, yeah, absolutely. Because really, we just want to build the biggest database we can of talented young players. And if I'm honest, it's kind of this thing has grown so big, it's been more successful than we ever could have possibly imagined. Mm-hmm. It's really hard for me to keep finding talented young players, right? There are still plenty out there, but it needs more eyes than just mine, right? And I figure if we're a scouting network, why not have eyes out there looking for talent as well as tracking talent that we've already found?
All right.
That makes sense?
I look forward to many duplicates in the scouting document.
Okay. Well, no, but people will be able to see the name, right? So I would recommend maybe...
I look forward to seeing all the duplicates in the scouting document.
Apple F or Control F and type the surname of your player to see if they've already been recommended.
I look forward to many duplicates in the scouting document.
That's fine. Duplicates maybe just means that the player's definitely been recommended.
That good, exactly.
Yeah, hotly tipped. So if you've been holding off joining the scouting network, TotalSoccerShow.com/join. And if you want to be a talent spotter, maybe that's the role for you, because Total Soccer Show Scout Network is one of the main things that keeps this show going. Keeps the lights on, keeps the electricity on, keeps the microphones running. Mm-hmm. All right, Taylor Rockwell.
I'm not sure the Scouting Network keeps the microphones running, but
I'm with you. It's all related. Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
There we go. Thank you for finally explaining to me how microphones work.
There we go.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, phantom power, that's how it works. Listeners, thank you for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow. The plan is listener questions. I'm already excited. Thank you for listening to our Premier League Roundup, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.